And we're back. Where
And
were
we're
we,
back.
Thano?
And you know what, millions of fans? If you want to hear our opinions on this movie, then I want you to go to the Cine-Scoots podcast on wherever you listen to your podcasts. And then I want you to go listen to episode from January 8th.
January 8th?
Wow.
January
I don't
8th
want to put them in.
was episode 1 of our Movies We Wreck.
Yes. So go to our January 8th episode and listen to that. And you're good.
Yeah, so we're going to very briefly talk about How to Train Your Dragon.
Live action.
Live action.
More live action than Lion King live action.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And also way less changes.
Yeah.
To How to Train Your Dragon than the Lion King.
one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. I didn't hate the Lion King remake, live action remake.
I
just thought it was. I was like, yeah, I've seen this.
I'll stand by where I stood there. And actually, I think this is what leads to the most interesting conversation you could have about this movie. What I loved about the Lion King remake was I loved the parts that were shot for shot the same as the old one.
Mm-hmm.
And I disliked the parts that were different. And in this movie, you have a shot for shot the same as the old one. And I think it's better for it. And that'll lead me to say that by and large, I think these movies need to be shot for shot the same as the old one. And that's where they'll find their success.
I don't know, man. I'm curious. I'm curious as to what this means, right? What lessons is Hollywood going to take from this, right?
Well, actually, so let's jump. Since this is kind of an unconventional episode where it is something we've reviewed recently.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump to the numbers. What are the stats? Do you have any?
I do have some stats. So, critically speaking, 77% of critics like this movie, which is pretty good. 88% audience score. So the audiences really like this. As far as money goes, so this is actually a really fun fact that I think is really, really interesting. This movie cost $40 million less than the animated movie, which is crazy to me. Because the original movie was made for $190 million. This one was made for $150.
Is this adjusted for inflation, or did the last movie cost $190 million and $2010?
$2010.
And this movie is $150
in today's dollars.
Wow, so this movie cost a lot less.
Yeah, technically speaking, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, right? It's fucking insane.
That is crazy.
It's already at $252 million, and this is like slightly outdated because we've had a few more days since the weekend. Opened at $83 million, which is more than the original one opened to. Ooh. So I think, if I remember correctly, this is the highest opening How to Train Your Dragon movie. So compounding, not compounding, but like increase, line go up.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Immediately, people were like, what's next, right? Because they did say the second movie was announced a long time ago. I want to say months ago. They were like, part 2 is coming. And people were like, oh. Then that means they are very confident
that this will do well.
Yes.
And has done well. Yeah.
So part of me goes, I'm really happy for the movie, mainly because as far as creatively speaking goes, cast aside, obviously it's different when you have an animated voice cast and then a live action cast. But in the behind the scenes stuff, I'm 90% sure this is like the same crew that created this, because it's the same director and I think the same writers. So I'm happy for them that people are going to watch their second go at this movie. But then I'm also curious as to, okay, are they going to then want to do something like a Toy Story for Disney and be like, you know what, let's not change a damn thing. Let's do this scene with just people, and then maybe the toys can still look like toys, right? Like puppets.
Oh wait, are you saying Disney will want to do this with like
because I'm trying to think about what Disney movie has come out recently that's been a live action adaptation of a movie, and that they just left it completely untouched for the most part.
Kind of Lion King, but not entirely.
But I think also Lion King was such a different movie.
Yeah,
because like it's still just an animated movie, so that was the change, right?
So I'm curious as to what the most flack Disney's get. My guess is the loudest dissent to the Disney live actions is when they diverge. And now I will say that there are people who do complain when they don't diverge. but I think the most, because we have Lilo and Stitch, right? So we have a recent example to compare from.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest complaints that I've heard about Lilo and Stitch are and was the change made with the sister, and then what happens to Lilo at the end.
Yeah.
Now I haven't seen Lilo and Stitch, so I'm not here to talk about my opinion on that change. But I guess I will say I think by and large the people prefer it to be kept the same.
Yeah. So I think I said this when we were walking out of the theater. One of the big things about Lilo and Stitch was that I kept hearing a lot of people go, "This is really good. This is probably the best live action remake we've had so far." The
Hmm.
only thing that makes me mad is they changed Blink.
Yep.
Right? It could be the fact that there's no Captain Gantu. It could be that Jumba is more of an asshole in this one, or the whole thing at the end with Nani not getting screwed over and being allowed to follow her dream
Hmm.
or whatever, right? I came out of this movie going, I better not hear a fucking thing from those people about this movie because this is literally the exact same movie.
Yeah.
Which is also another thing that I thought was a little interesting.
Reddit bitched.
Reddit always bitches. What the fuck are you talking about?
And Reddit always does bitch, but Reddit bitched in the R movie thread for this movie. It was largely negative, and they're like, "This is just a waste of time." It was the same as the other one. Reddit is also where I saw most of the complaints about Lilo and Stitch,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yes, Reddit does always bitch.
Again, but you
Yeah.
just kind of put the point right there, right? They
Yep.
bitched about Lilo and Stitch for making the changes,
Yep.
and now they're
And they
bitching
bitched
about How
about
to
this
Train
for
Your
staying the
Dragon
same.
for not making the changes. So
Yes.
like you can't
Yes.
please anyone, right?
No.
That's the in and out of it.
Yep.
But I do think one of the things that helps this movie is they kept the primary like emotion of the movie,
Yes.
which is I've
The
said
boy and his
multiple
dog.
times, boy and his dog, and I'm a fucking sucker for that. I feel like if they had done anything in this movie where the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless was different, I feel like it wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah. We had talked about in the theater. You said that the director for this movie has talked about wanting to make some changes for number two.
Mm-hmm.
I think what this reminds me of actually is the Star Wars sequels, where I don't love The Force Awakens, but by and large, I think it found success in like, basically playing the old tune again in
Mm-hmm.
like a new coat of paint. And then I love The Last Jedi, and where The Last Jedi found success for me was by playing like a very different tune,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that if you're going to make changes in the adaptation of this franchise, I do think they're taking the smart route of like, okay, let's play the old song, and then if we're gonna be bold,
In the second
we'll get
one.
bold with two and three, right?
Yeah.
I think just as long as you don't make it stupid.
Are you saying you just don't want the second movie to be Toothless and Hiccup in an island with just a casino the whole time
That and then
and some
just don't rise
stupid
of
some stupid
Skywalker.
birds?
Don't Rise of Skywalker or anything. But there's also not enough. I mean, and the other thing is like this is not Star Wars, right? It's not a very old franchise, right? It's a 15-year-old franchise, and it's DreamWorks property, which while like beloved, it doesn't like consume people like Disney does. So they
Mm-hmm.
kind of have like I think by remaking this movie, they kind of had some more freedom in the terms of like there's not as much baggage attached to How I Train Your Dragon, where I feel like the stakes are lower than a Lion King. And I
Yeah.
think that works to the movie's benefit.
So I'm really curious your opinion on this. A couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple months ago, there was a post on I want to say Twitter when they were like, "What is the?" I think it was either what's the best franchise or what's the worst franchise, and the one that was either at the bottom of the best or the top of the worst was How to Train Your Dragon, and people were
Well,
like, "The
it has no
fuck?"
misses. Yeah, it has no misses.
And I'm just like, no, no, no. Like people were saying, like of these franchises that were listed, I think there were like four of them. How to Train Your
Yeah,
Dragon in the best one was voted the last, not by like a lot, but
yeah.
like still collectively on the list, it was like the worst one. And I'm just saying that like the movies are great. Like
They are great, but they don't have the cultural sauce.
sure, but then I was also thinking like, but why is that? Is it
Could be many
that the
reasons.
fans of the movies really love those movies, but the collective whole of society just did not give it the chance. So it didn't become ingrained in like our pop culture as much as, the stands are.
Yeah,
And then I'm wondering if then that will allow this movie to succeed more in a live action setting.
I think this so to that point, I do think this live action I do think that this live action adaptation set is benefited by the fact that like the original three are not as beloved as maybe they deserve to be on merit alone.
Mhm.
I don't know if they didn't find as much success because of a DreamWorks issue, like, and you don't have the Disney bank behind them. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I have an accurate read of like how beloved Kung Fu Panda is. Because I think Kung Fu Panda is similar to this series in the to the extent that there's not like a bad one,
Mhm.
right? I haven't seen those movies in a while, but like I don't think there's one that got like bad reviews. And there's three of them, right?
There's 4.
There's four Kung Fu
Yeah.
Pandas. Yeah. Is there a bad one? Is there one that's considered to be bad?
So to be fair, I've only seen the first 2,
Yeah.
but they were both very good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ironically, Shrek has bad one.
Shrek has a really bad one.
Shrek has a bad one, right? But then
Shrek has Shrek has I think the good faith of the fact that number 1 is just such a cultural phenomenon
yes.
to the point where like I don't think I've ever mentioned this in the pod, but my nephew when he was young, like that was his movie.
Shrek.
And Shrek, he
Yeah.
would quote that shit. He would watch the first movie only. God forbid you try to put in 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. It was
Oh, really?
always the first one. I
Interesting.
don't know why. That was his thing. But like kids, my students in 2025 quote Shrek. They draw Shrek. They want Shrek things.
Shrek benefited from the memes for this
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
Shrek came out when I was in third grade, and like we were all fucking quoting like Shrek. I think is the only thing that like DreamWorks has done that is truly Disney tier in terms of cultural.
Which is insane to think about.
Yeah.
That it's of all the DreamWorks things that have come out, Shrek is the one that's like you said, Disney tier, like as Disney tier level. But I feel like I have so much more attachment
To How to Train
to
Your
How to
Dragon.
Train Your Dragon. I think in my soul, in my heart of hearts, I think that How to Train Your Dragon is so good. And I swear I said this in our review of I swear I fucking did in our review that we did in January. That
Up
one of the
yours,
reasons
woke moralist.
why I love How to Train Your Dragon is that it does not have the crutch that Shrek has, which is the reliance on pop culture and the adult
Yep.
humor.
I mean, How to Train Your Dragon could be a Pixar movie.
It could be. It could
could be.
be, in my opinion, top echelon of like Pixar movies.
Yeah, it's better than Cars.
They're way better than Cars. What the
How many
fuck are you
fucking
talking about? I think it's better. It's better than Toy Story for me.
I think that's fair. I think most of the world will disagree, but I think that's fair.
People, the world is wrong.
Fair enough.
If
fair enough.
If the world is against How to Train Your Dragon, I'm against the world, Tana.
Excellent, man.
If How to Train Your Dragon has no fans left, because I'm dead.
You keep that up. Well, Shrek is what it is because it's subversive. How to Train Your Dragon is not subversive.
I think How to Train Your Dragon is
it is a true fairy tale.
It's a more conventional movie.
Very conventional. Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah. I think I'm just happy for it. You're happy that you're happy it's getting the success it deserves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't overstay your goodwill. Just take this ship home.
One of the things that I was reading recently, because I went back and I looked at some reviews for How to Train Your Dragon. Critically, it did really well. I think the whole franchise is critically well received. But some of the things that I noticed from like the audiences, they were like, these movies are too mature. And I'm like, I don't remember
a lot from 2 and 3, I will say. I don't remember a lot of 2 and 3. But interesting.
2 is very dark. Like some of the subject matter in 2 does get heavy.
You cry during 2, right?
I fucking weep thinking about rewatching 2.
2 is where Gerard Butler dies.
2 is where Gerard Butler dies.
Yeah. Are you ready for Gerard Butler to dive again?
Dude, that's my cross to bear. Where I stand How to Train Your Dragon so much, and I tell people, hey, you should really watch the series, but I refuse to watch 2 because it breaks my heart.
Some people are born with conditions where their organs are on the outside of their
Listen,
body.
my cross to bear is my love of How to Train Your Dragon 2.
The Lord doesn't give us more than we can handle.
He gives his fiercest battles to his biggest warriors. That warrior is me. But I think to that point, actually, talking about Jerry, I'm amazed that he came back.
I'm so
I'm
happy.
so happy that he came back.
I am too.
I know that they couldn't bring back look wise. I know they couldn't bring back Craig Ferguson for Gobber. I
Yeah.
think Nick
But
Frost
Nick Frost works.
does a good job, but it does feel like a slightly different character. I feel like Mason Thames does a really good job at embodying Hiccup without looking like a total dork the way Hiccup looks in the animated version.
I think he looks like a dork. I think he looks like he reminds
It's
me
the
of
hair.
young Dexter. But Michael C. Hall.
It's the mop hair.
It's the mop
But I
hair.
think the mop hair is what I think in this movie it does the ugly betification of Hiccup, where it's like, well, we'll just give him a kind of goofy haircut. But like,
Yeah.
if you look at him, like he looks like a handsome young lad.
So back to Nick Frost's character real quick. What's his name again?
Gobber.
Yes. I think this is where live action will just be inferior because I think it's harder to do the Gobber shtick with live action than it is with animation.
What do you mean by the Gobber shtick?
Having the extra attachments to like his limbs, like having like the hammer one or having like whatever ones he uses to open shit or whatever. I think that works. That sight gag works better when it's a cartoon. I also think this movie, I don't know if it was the 3D of it all. I think stuff like that at some points was harder to see for me. Whereas like in the animated palette, you have the brighter colors, like shapes stick out more.
Mm-hmm.
I think this definitely took place in Scandinavia, and by that I mean like it was kind of
Dark and dreary.
yeah, but once again, I don't know if that was just 3D, which I will complain about this till the day I die. It's just glasses that take
Make shit
scribbly lines
darker.
and make them look normal. I'll never be a fan of. I'll never be a fan of 3D.
I'm not either. Honestly, the thing that really made me a little like, we're gonna go see this in 4DX was the fact that it was in 3D for the 4DX.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we tested a new gimmick.
I honestly wasn't. I was wondering if that's what most of the show was going to be about. This was my first time in 4DX.
Yeah.
Had a great time. Not great enough of a time where I would like willingly drive an hour and a half again.
That's the biggest kicker, right?
Special. But you're in a roller coaster.
You're in a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's interesting to have that be a. Can you hear the dog barking?
I can hear the dog.
Holy shit, Baymax. He is angry because Katie is doing her hair.
So sad.
But anyway, I do think that having kind of to go back to Gobber. Out of all the characters, Gobber was the only one where I did feel like I was watching a cover version of something. Something about his line deliveries, I was like, oh, it sounds like you're quoting a movie. Where I feel like even though like Hiccup and Astrid and Stoic have a lot of the same lines, like it still felt like, okay, these make sense in the story.
Do you put that on Nick Frost?
I don't know if I put that on him more than I do on like the director.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that Nick Frost is a extremely talented actor. He can play serious, he can play goofy. I almost feel like he wasn't goofy enough.
I think there were a couple points, and I don't remember them, so I can't name them. I think there were a couple points where like certain comedic beats didn't feel like they landed where they were supposed to in terms of the timing. And I think the animated movie timed those beats out appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's why like whatever star rating I'll give the first one, I'll actually always give this one either a half a star or a full star less. And nothing bad that this movie did is just I think that like this is testament to the beauty of animation as a medium.
If I have a wish list item for the next movie, whether it be for them to keep the story exactly the same or whether it be for them to like, take a big swing to the fences or whatever. If I have one wish list, is for them to just make it look beautiful. I feel like this movie does a good job at making it look, cool and nice, but like it's still very dark. It like things don't pop. Like the animation, and this is also a complaint that I personally have on Stitch, is that like you're filming in Hawaii. Like it's a beautiful place. Like I've seen pictures that people take on their fucking phones that look amazing. And you're telling me this water looks gray as shit? Like I don't get it.
I don't know what bearing at all this will have on what I'm about to say. I want HBO Harry Potter to be.
Yes, yeah,
Uh,
especially after the last what 4 or 5 Harry
all
Potters.
the David Yates ones, awful, 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 awful. But
Was
like,
he
there's a
4,
he did 5, 6, 7, and
5,
8.
6, 7? Okay, and then
5,
the
6, 7, 8.
the
Yeah,
shitty spin-offs, right?
in the shitty spinoffs.
Yeah,
Each one shittier than the last.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how shitty the quality of those movies.
I didn't see the most recent
Dude, it
one
was so
because
bad.
that was the one that came out post COVID, and I just couldn't will myself to do it on
The
at home.
Secrets of Dumbledore.
But I think I disliked the first one more than average. And then I'm like, when it was time for the second one, I was like, well, it can't be that much worse than the first one. And nope, I think we reached some sort of bottom of the barrel with that movie. I don't know what that bottom of the barrel was. I think it found many ways to be bad.
I love the fact that those movies got so progressively bad. They were like, you know what? Let's just not finish this.
It was bad on paper.
It was
like,
here's the thing. It honestly isn't. It honestly isn't. There's something that you can do about like, hey, we're going to explore the world of Harry Potter through like the cool creatures.
no, but that's not the one you do next.
Hear me out. I'm not saying it's the one you do next, but even if it is the one you do next, there is something on paper that
Yeah.
I would say you could do that in a cool way of exploring far-reaching places. But no, they're still in the same boring-ass
That's the
fucking
thing.
UK with
You're
the
using-
same fucking dumbass like British thing.
Your idea on paper is a simple sentence. It's like Harry Potter universe, but creatures.
But
Theirs
creatures.
was a compound. Yes, theirs was a compound sentence. Theirs was Harry Potter universe, but creatures, and let's make it a prequel series. No.
Yes, exactly.
No.
Yeah, you're right. That's yes. But anyway, so I hope Superman is such a hit that it creates a shift in cinema.
This review was supposed to be 5 minutes long. Now we're fucking talking about.
Dollar, we need the runtime.
Yeah.
No, but here's the last thing. If Superman is such a hit and people go, holy shit, this looks amazing. Look at how colorful Superman is.
Yes.
I hope he undoes the damage that Zack Snyder did to our cinema screens and
make
James Gunn
colorful again.
Yes. Because holy shit, I want the second movie to be bright and colorful. And yes, even if awful, sad shit is happening to characters I love, I want it to look bright when it happens.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I don't know, man. I love this movie. I saw it 3 times in the span of like 4 days. And every time I had oodles of fun. The scene where Hiccup and Toothless bond still makes me want to cry.
What's the chances that you're going to see it in theaters again?
Dude, here's the problem.
You're going on vacation.
Not just that. There's so many good movies coming out.
There are so many good movies.
Like I'm hoping I get to go see 28 Years Tomorrow if I'm able to squeeze it in the morning.
Ooh.
At some point I gotta check the Showtime potential time. I might run into like a 9 a.m. showing. Fucking Formula One apparently is a blast.
Yeah.
We got Superman like the week after. Then we have Jurassic World, and then we have Fantastic Four. Dog.
What's the takeaway from this, Javi? We have no respect for bored people.
We have no respect for bored people.
Nope.
Absolutely not. Nope. All right, everybody. I'm glad we.
I'm glad, and we can finish in under a half hour.
Yeah. Also, before we go, I am also excited to see what becomes of Astrid and Hiccup, how that is going to be in the future, because I like those two together. I think they're cute together.
Good actors, good chemistry.
Good actors, good chemistry. Have you seen some of the interviews they have together?
Briefly.
They are very... I am wondering if this is going to be a Zendaya and Tom Holland situation for them.
Romance is in the air.
Probably, I don't know. Anyway, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to our rambles here.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with... What did we say? Oh, yeah, Life of Chuck.
Life of Chuck.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Which I'm excited to talk about.
For sure. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to our wonderful, wonderful podcast. Until next time, he has been Thano.
He has been Javier.
This has been the Cine-Scoots Movie Show. Bye.
Bye.